It all starts from the foundation, Hadith Qissa. Once you understand that Hadith, it makes everything easy.
Tell me about your legal journey.
So it's funny, it was a long road to get to where I got to. I was actually pre-med major. I was trying to fulfill the Desi dream.
Yeah. Well, you fulfilled it in another way, but yeah.
I took the LSAT, the first year of law school nobody can prepare you for.
I wouldn't know, besides suits.
Yeah.
Mashallah, so you did the MBA at the same time. So not only is law school intense, but you really turned it up to another level, what your role is with Cobb County as a judge.
The court system in the magistrate court is 24 hours, 7 days a week. I work on the warrants.
Knowledge and ilm, right, is obviously revered.
It really is about being ethical and being fair.
Arguably one of the most popular shows, Suits. Is that an accurate reflection of your world? What do you enjoy more, litigating or actually being the judge? Everyone in their prime, Vic, Cousins, or Penix? Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for tuning in to Up Close and Shia podcast. I am incredibly excited to host my guest today. I have someone today who is an accomplished lawyer, a magistrate court judge, a trustee at an Islamic center here in Atlanta, a father, a community member, an avid sports fan, and also like an older brother to me. So allow me to introduce Toqeer Chouhan, who also goes by Toki. Toki, thank you for accepting my invite and coming on to our show.
Well, thank you. No, I'm honored to be here and excited to speak with you.
Absolutely. So, Toki, as I mentioned to you, Up Close and Shia podcast is really focused around highlighting Shia personalities from a variety of professional experiences. And I'm so excited to have you here today because not only are you the first of a kind with your professional experience, but also a quite distinguished one. So we're going to go right in with that. So if you can just tell us a little bit about just your family background and how long you've been in Atlanta.
Sure. Well, assalamu alaikum. And again, thanks for having me on. My family has been in Atlanta since the 70s, early 80s. And my parents had moved over to the west side of Georgia in a small town, Douglasville, Georgia. That's where we all grew up. I have two younger brothers, Tanvir and Tosif.
Of course.
Yes. And my dad kind of settled in that area. He was a veterinarian and had his vet practice.
Is that why you guys were always out there? Because the vet practice was there? Or was there any particular reason that you guys moved out there?
Yeah, that was really it.
Okay.
So he also serviced, a lot of his clients were in Alabama as well.
Okay.
And so it was easy to go back and forth between Alabama.
I-20, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so grew up out there.
And I know you had some previous stays. Was it Houston that you guys used to live in, or?
Sure. Yeah. So actually, I was born in Houston,
Okay.
and then my family moved to Georgia probably when I was a few months old.
Okay.
So I still consider myself a Georgia native. You know?
But Tosif and Tini are born.
Yeah. They're
Gotcha.
Georgia born and raised. Yeah. So. But before that, my dad was also in New York, and he did his time there, and then went to Houston, and then we wound up in Georgia.
Gotcha. Okay. But I mean, Georgia's home. And I know you're an avid sports fan, so we're going to get into that here shortly too. So let's just get right into it. So tell me about your legal journey. So was this something that was a passion from since grade school, or how did this legal journey come about?
So it's funny. It was a long road to get to where I got to.
Okay.
So I started out in college, I graduated from high school, and then you start college, and I was actually pre-med major.
Okay.
I was trying to fulfill the Desi dream.
Yeah. Well, you fulfilled it in another way, but yeah.
Yeah. So no, at the time, medical is where I thought I was going to go.
Sure.
In high school, that was kind of what I'd geared towards as well. And then after my first semester of taking those pre-med classes, I didn't have the passion.
Okay.
And I talked to my parents and said, hey, look, I don't know if this is something that I see as my career and what I want to do. So I was actually undeclared for like 2 years in college, just doing the general courses, just kind of looking at all the different avenues and things. And so I really took an interest to actually business classes. And so I declared, I was a finance major. I did finance and marketing. And really enjoyed those courses. During that time also, I interned at a law firm in college and got a little exposure. And I thought, hey, that'd be cool, but I don't know if I want to go back to school again, and so after I graduated from college, I graduated.
And where did you go?
I went to a small school up in Rome, Georgia, Berry College.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did my undergrad there. So it was nice in the sense that being in a smaller school, I got to get exposed to a lot of different things in classes that maybe in a big school you don't necessarily, you just kind of are a number and just getting through it. But
sure.
Getting to know the professors and talking to them about opportunities after graduation and things like that. So it was actually my econ professor who said, hey, you should maybe intern at this law firm because you can use the business degree in the legal field potentially. And I was like, hey, that's great, did it. But I was like, I don't know if I want to do school again.
Yeah.
And so then I graduated with a degree in finance and marketing and actually worked in finance for a year. I did loan originations and things like that.
Okay.
And during that year, that off year is kind of when I started, having a break from school and kind of thinking about stuff. I was like, you know what, let me just take the LSAT, see what happens. Because I had some other friends that had been studying and for the LSAT. So I was like, let me just give it a shot.
Sorry to pause you and cut you right there, but were the thoughts coming in because of that internship that you did at the law firm? Did you find some sort of joy and like, wow, this is actually pretty cool? Was that also a trigger to consider the LSAT?
It was a factor,
Sure.
just being exposed to it, because seeing how it was a smaller law firm and seeing how people came to them and asked them for help, and because they were in Rome, Georgia as well, and a local attorney, and it was cool seeing how they help people out. But then in a way you're like, hey, I don't know if I can ever do that. Like it's so far away. He was older and everything, so. At that time, you're just trying to graduate, get a degree, and move on. But then, as I was working and having that time away from school, I just remember like thinking, hey, this is great what I'm doing in finance, but what is my ultimate goal? Like, what do I want to do? And actually, I was living at home at the time, and I remember coming home late one night talking to my dad and about it. He was like, look, this is the time, you're young, you have energy. If you want to go back to school, we'll support you and do whatever you want to do. Yeah. And even then I was like, I just don't know if I want to do school again. I was happy to have the college degree and be done, which alhamdulillah, it's great, But then I took the LSAT and just to see what would happen. And fortunately, did well enough where I could actually look at it as a realistic option of going to law school. And then I started applying, still kind of unsure if I was going to do it or not. And alhamdulillah, it worked out. I wound up going to Mercer Law School in Lincoln. Staying in state was helpful.
Sure.
And then I was in law school there. The first year of law school, nobody can prepare you for. It is.
I wouldn't know.
It's trial by fire. I mean,
besides suits, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what a lot of people have a misconception of the law as being that way. But it's funny. But yeah, the first year of law school, I mean, they literally they sat you down at orientation and they go, you're sitting there in a big hall with all your first years, and they go, look to your left and look to your right. And they said, the person to your left most likely will not be here at the end of your 3 years. And I thought it was a joke. I was like, oh man, but it was a hazing, but it's pretty intense.
Wow.
Yeah. But so again, during my time in law school, I was interning at different places, trying to understand kind of what I wanted to do with my legal career. Cause again, I'd taken the step of, hey, I want to do the law. But at the time when I was doing it, there really weren't as many, Middle Eastern or Desis that were doing, in the field at the time, And so even then, I was like, hey, is this the right decision? And,
sure,
because, it's tough. You're on an island almost. But again, just persevered through that. And in my second year when I was starting law school, again, talking to my dad, he was like, hey, I'm glad you're doing law school, but you're young, what do you think, about additional schooling? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm in law school. And so he just kind of planted the bug because he knew I had a business degree and everything. And so he was like, you can always go get an MBA. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's the time, to think about it. And so I wound up applying to business schools and I wound up doing a dual degree with an MBA and law degree when I was in at the same time. So
and you did it simultaneously.
correct. Yeah.
So not only is law school intense, but you really hyped it up and turned it up to another level, right? So, mashallah. Okay, so you did the MBA at the same time.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow,
so,
mashallah.
Yeah. So alhamdulillah, but again, when you're in that school mode, when that's the only thing you're doing, it's different. But it was nice to have that support from my parents. Just
of course,
saying, hey, do it while you're young and while you have the time to do it.
Absolutely. No, that's beautiful. So maybe just going to the next level and just deeper dive into that. So as you were finishing in law school, there's so many specialties within law, right? How did you know, which one's for you? And actually tell us exactly what do you do now? So how did you find that, and exactly what do you practice now?
Yeah, well, that's something, again, when you finish law school, they don't prep you on. They're just like, hey, you're done. And you don't really figure out your specialty really till you start working and looking at different positions. I personally really was interested in the business aspect of the law, doing business law and corporate law. Starting out as a first year, that's really tough because people are like, hey, what experience do you have? So it's a chicken and egg situation.
Yeah, sure.
They want somebody with experience, but you have to get it somewhere also. I worked at a small business for a few months, just learning, about general business, legal dealings and things like that. And it was okay, but it wasn't like necessarily what I envisioned myself as being an attorney or a lawyer doing. And so I was fortunate. I got an opportunity working for an insurance company as their defense counsel. And I took the opportunity because I got courtroom experience. And so I got a lot of litigation experience. And that was, to me, like one of those things where you just trust the process, and alhamdulillah, it works out. I didn't necessarily leave law school thinking I wanted to work for insurance companies or doing insurance defense, but it was a building block towards, where
you were one of those, right?
Yeah. So
defending the insurance company.
No, exactly. Yeah, but hey, look, you're first year, second year, you're just like, hey, I just need a job.
No, of course.
So, but no, it was a great experience. I learned a lot about the legal system, had great mentors, and I really was blessed to have that at that point in my career and develop those skills. And then later, I went to work at a smaller firm that hired me basically on the litigation skills, but they were more of a business and corporate firm. And so I got a lot of experience doing business and corporate litigation and working in a smaller firm setting at the same time. And then they call it, like, I guess, the 10-year itch. Right when I was practicing for about 10 years, I just started thinking, hey, is this something that I want to try to do on my own? With the support of my wife and family, we made the decision. I was like, hey, if not now, when? They call it the proverbial shingle. You put up a shingle, gave it a leap of faith, and alhamdulillah, it was able to start the firm. And we have a general practice now. And so we basically do a lot of business and corporate law and litigation transactions and things like that, but then have become a full service firm now.
Okay, mashallah. Yeah, and I've been to the website at chouhanlawfirm.com, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful website. And yes, when I went to the services page, there's a host of different, full sort of suite of array of services that are there.
Yeah.
You're talking about starting your own firm, and obviously there's a host of services that you guys provide. So, and you're kind of, as you're telling that story, you've kind of already addressed some of these things, but what challenges from opening just your own business did you face internally even, right? That you had to battle those demons to say, no, I can do it, and taking that leap of faith like that you're mentioning. Could you share some of that experience of what, triggered you to say, no, I'm going to do it. And this is what's, written next for me?
Well, the biggest challenge is when that direct deposit doesn't hit. Every 2 weeks there's no direct deposit.
Sure. Amen. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's once you get over the mindset of being dependent and taking control, and that's really what it comes down to.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And so in saying, I'm responsible for, what is going to happen. And we're given the ability, but really my true belief was that Allah was guiding me the whole way.
Jazakallah.
Yeah. So because you believe that Allah knows best, and Allah, as long as you have the right intention and are doing things the right way, we have belief that it will be provided.
Yes.
And whatever our allotment is, our fair allotment, inshallah, will be there. And that was something that always kind of helped. because it is scary, when you jump, take, that
Sure,
leap.
yeah.
And so, but you're like, you know what? Look, I mean, inshallah, it'll work out,
Jazakallah, yeah.
And look, if it doesn't, then you can always go and work somewhere, and continue. It's nothing, like I said, you give it a try,
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So just kind of having the guts and obviously the support system, and you've done your due diligence, right? You put in that effort. You've done I'm sure you had some level of analysis paralysis, right? Doing all the plus and minuses and reach that decision. Jazakallah, mashallah. So tell me a little bit about your appointment as the Cobb County Magistrate Court as a judge. In layman's terms, how would you describe what your role is with Cobb County as a judge?
Well, I'm a part-time magistrate judge in Cobb County here in Georgia. And so basically, I'm not elected. So I work for under the direction of the chief magistrate judge, who actually gets elected. And so there's several judges, part-time judges, that help assist because the court system in the magistrate court is a 24-hour, 7 days a week position. And so there's judges that are there 24 hours, 7 days a week to sign warrants, search warrants, anything that comes up in that sense. And so any criminal issue that happens, usually it starts at the magistrate court system at that level, and then goes to superior court from there, or stays in magistrate court. So my position there, I work on the warrants. Basically, police officers will come in and give their testimony as to why it should be issued, and weigh those options and take a look at the law and make those determinations.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also work on search warrants, if in case they need to search your cell phone for an issue, or go into a home or something like that. So, and those issues come up 24 hours, 7 days a week. It could be 4 a.m, and you get a call like, hey, we need you to look at this immediately, And
is that call primarily to the chief, and then he sort of disperses that out in some sort of round robin format? Or is it based on a calendar? Like, you've provided your availability that Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. I'm available, or just how does that sort of distribution work?
Yeah, there's a calendar.
There's a calendar.
We're rotating calendar. Yeah, so it's not like we're just getting called out of the blue.
Yeah, like ad hoc calls. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a whole calendar there. And then also in Cobb County, and especially in Georgia, the magistrate level also handles evictions and small claims. As far as the civil claims, there's a breach of contract or something like that. So the limit right now is $15,000. So if there's a controversy for $15,000 or less,
it's at the magistrate level.
So,
gotcha.
So I actually sit at the hearings for those things as well.
I'm going to shift gears on you for just a little bit. I know your family, and we're one of the founding fathers here of one of the centers here in Atlanta, Zainabiyya Islamic Center, and your father, of course, marhum bihaq al-bayt, may Allah elevate his position, has done a lot in the Shia community. I know now you have also been part of the leadership positions at Zainabiyya. So just explain a little bit about your current role with Zainabiyya, and how you're sort of still providing that service just like your father did for all these years.
Well, it's big shoes to fill. And so that's why we joke that, he has 3 sons that are trying to fulfill those, shoes there. But I've the opportunity. I've been serving as a trustee member at Zainabiyya for the last several years, and just trying to oversee the operations there and help out as much as we can. The family, like I said, but it's a community effort,
Of course.
The title is
everyone has to come together. These things just don't happen. No, but subhanAllah, I know. I mean, of course, Toqeer's like an older brother, and we've known each other for forever. So obviously, this episode here, there's a lot of things that we've shared in the past as well. So it's beautiful to see his journey, and someone that I personally also look up to within the community. And to maybe just on that note, and closing off this first segment of our episode, just sort of like coming back to your practice and your specialty and just legal and law in general, and also with the spin of our jurisprudence, right? So, like, what sort of synergies that have you seen between our fiqh and our jurisprudence and just law and just legal in general?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting question because the synergies, I guess, I see is that is about being ethical,
Jazakallah.
and being fair. And the law is the law; it's written there, and just like our fiqh, we have guidance, and our job is to live our lives within those boundaries. And I tell people, even with the law, you stay within those boundaries, everything is fine. And the same with us. We have all the principles in guiding, paths in front of us, and we just got to stay in our lane. And it really is about being ethical, and being fair, and just having a high level of that ethics. I think inshallah, if we can do that, then I see that synergy. Then you stay off the radar. That's all you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I know. I mean, again, so many hadiths and things that we've heard from the member, but I remember just a particular hadith that somebody had asked Prophet. I can't remember who the Sahabi was, but knowledge and ilm, right, is obviously revered and very much revered, so, and rightfully so. But somebody had asked Prophet, that is knowledge going to be that, like, one thing that, as we on the day of Qiyamah, and that ultimate thing that it's going to be used to judge whether someone was a good person or they make it to heaven. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his response was, yes, knowledge is very important, but it's number two. The most important is akhlaq, right? So you're talking about ethical and just morals. So the akhlaq thing is very important. And if you live your right way between the lines, right, you'll make it,
Right,
essentially, right? So,
no, that's true.
okay, so that's going to wrap up our first segment. We're going to go to the exciting rapid fire segment of the show. Toqeer, if you are unaware, this is where I'm just going to throw some questions at you. He has not been prepped, so this is truly going to be candid and uncut. But these are just a few questions I'm going to throw at you. And the expectation is the first thing that comes to your mind, you respond. And if you're taking too long, I'll call you out because it's meant to be rapid.
All right, sounds good. Let's see what we can do here. I'm rolling my sleeves up.
So you ready for the first one?
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So arguably one of the most popular shows, Suits, and you kind of answered this in our discussion, but the question is this: is that an accurate reflection of your world?
Well, other than me looking like Harvey, no. I wish, in a way, I wish it was, but I'm glad it's not. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. The legal world is a lot more structured. It's very rare that you have these crazy things that happen that need to be immediately addressed. But they do a great job of making it seem like, hey, it's a very exciting and off the cuff. Although our day to day is very unpredictable.
Sure.
Obviously they have some extreme cases in there and stuff, but it's fair in the sense that they do a good job of the legal arguments and things like that.
The jargon.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But the immediate, we have to respond before 2 a.m., being there all night and things like that.
Sure,
yeah. I mean, there are nights that you're there working on certain cases, but that would be hard to do on a consistent basis.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in a $5,000 suit.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So sticking along the same lines, what do you enjoy more, litigating or actually being the judge?
Well, that's a good question. It depends. I like being a judge in certain cases where even if the person who has a determination against them that's not necessarily in their favor, but making them at least understand that the law, we're trying to be as fair as possible, and I think sometimes people need to hear that, hey, just because there's something against me doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And,
sure. Yeah.
And so just trying to make sure that we can be compassionate in, not wielding a hammer, like saying, hey, this is it, but just being, hey, look, this is the way the law is. That's all. These are the rules.
Sure.
It doesn't mean you're a good person, bad person, or anything like that. We're not, because a lot of times people go to court thinking, oh, the person didn't like me, the judge didn't like me, or something
sure,
like that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a unique perspective I've been able to gather. But litigating's fun too. So that's a toss up. So
Okay,
I guess it's right down the middle.
Okay, we'll leave it right down the middle. No worries. Okay, I'm gonna shift gears on you just to make your mind really think here. And like I said earlier, I know you're an avid sports fan, and you support all of our hometown teams. You got to pick one. Which team are you just supporting all out?
Right now, probably the Atlanta Braves.
Braves. Okay, yeah, I know you're a big Braves fan.
Yeah,
I see your pictures all the time at the stadium. So
well, they've given us a championship, you know.
They have, and the most recent one, yes, of course.
They've actually given us one. You know, right now the other teams are they're giving me a lot of heartache. You know.
yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I'm sticking right there. Okay, here's our start, bench, and cut edition. Ready? Right. Everyone in their prime: Vic, Cousins, or Penix.
Oh, Vic all day.
So Vic is starting. Mm-hmm. Who's benching and who's cut?
We're benching Penix as the backup.
And the Cousins in his prime now. Define. I don't know what his prime is.
Yeah, I'm cutting though. I'm still cutting though. You know?
Still cutting. Okay.
Yeah. Penix on potential being Vic's backup.
Okay.
Yeah, and
left hand.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. Same offense. You know,
sure.
If Vic gets hurt on that 40-yard dash, you know, then
Penix can come right in. Perfect. No, that's a good one. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I set you up for that good one.
Would you start? What would you do with Cousins?
I would be aligned with what you said. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Start Vic and prime Vic. I mean, to be honest with you, is a mixture of Atlanta and Philly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, right. At Philly when he came back, and the way his game was still the same, but he had a little bit more pocket presence.
Yeah.
So I think, in my opinion, that's prime Vic, right? Because he still had the speed. He's still running a 4.1, 4.2, 40.
Yeah.
But also had pocket presence. So that Vic was dangerous.
No, he was. Yeah, and his touch on the pass
beautiful.
Yeah, with Philly. But yeah, I think Matt and Vic, you can't beat that.
I left Matt out intentionally, and you know, nothing against Matt, but of course Matt's starting.
Yeah.
I would think so. Actually, I don't know but in my opinion, I think I would start Matt Ryan, of course.
Yeah.
Vic would be on the bench, and then everyone else would just get cut for sure.
That's funny.
Okay, so shifting gears again. Someone is visiting Atlanta, a friend of yours, and you have one restaurant to take them. Where are you taking them?
Depends on how picky they are. You know.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
your choice. Your favorite.
Well, right now, I guess my favorite spot right now has been Yalda. The Mediterranean place. Pretty good food there.
Where is this?
They have one in Sandy Springs.
Okay.
And another one, I think Howell Mill area.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's one of my spots. And then Pizza Antico.
Antico. Yes, you can't lose with that. Yes, of course. And they have a few locations.
Yeah, exactly. And so. And then if we're watching a game or something, wings, there's sauce wings, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Can't lose with sauce wings for sure.
Yeah, so.
Okay. So I asked for one, but you got three. Okay.
I love to eat, man.
Okay, cool. We'll go together.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And the last question of the rapid fire, to really throw your mind here, share with me an ayah or hadith that really just resonates with you and sticks with you. Of course, any ayah, any hadith from Ahlul Bayt, from the Quran, are all valuable, of course. Mm-hmm. But what's one that's just kind of stuck with you and resonates with you? And you can paraphrase, doesn't have to be exact. Sure. But what's one? I'll give you a second to think about that one.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. You know, I mean, for me, it all starts from the foundation, the Hadith Qissa. Yeah, is ever since I was a kid and just growing up, that's the foundation, and it always resonates. The power of that Hadith, having your whole family there. Gabriel coming down and speaking and validating the family and the wishes of Allah. I believe, once you understand that hadith, it makes everything easy.
Jazakallah. That's a beautiful answer. Yeah. But you're right. Yeah, that's the foundation. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So that's going to wrap it up with our show. Toqeer, thank you so much for joining us today. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bihaq Ahlul Bayt, keep showering the blessings upon you and your family. Of course, we're going to have hopefully many more conversations in the future. I'll see you around, obviously, as always. But inshallah, if there's any questions for Toqeer, you may reach out to him directly on any of his social media pages. Any questions for us, please forward them our way. And inshallah, we'll see you next time on Up Close and Shia podcast. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz.